Greetings, everyone. This is Amat. I wanted to just come here to go over something that I think is extremely important, and it has to do with the beginning of the day, and by extension, when does the Shabbat begin or Sabbat begin? As we have up here, we see it is written that we shall not add to the word of the Most High. It is also written that some of us would believe a lie. And I will say, yes, for like most of us, I'm coming from the church, having originally been in the church of what they call the Church of God's Seventh Day. And once awakening and coming to the truth, there are many things that, was put into our heads. And we have to unlearn, read the Word in order to be able to have understanding to learn. So this is not going to be very long. I'm going to get right into it, and hopefully we can move. Okay, so let's look at the scripture. Devarim, or Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 32. All the words I am commanding you, guard to do it, not to add to it, nor to take away from it. So it's telling us we must not add to the word, nor do we take away from it, is as it is. And it's very important that we realize that something hangs upon every word that the Most High gives unto us. But we must also, as it says, study or read, get into the Word to show ourselves approved, that His Spirit, His set-apart Spirit, will lead us into all truth, that we may have understanding, that we're able to teach our children, and our children are able to teach their children, that we're doing that which is right. So if we look at Hazon, Revelation chapter 22, verse 15, but outside are the dogs, and those who enchant with drugs, and those who whore, and the murderers, and the idolaters, and all who love and do falsehood. It's very important that we take this verse seriously, because it's telling us that whatever we come to present before the Most High, it must be acceptable unto Him. It must be what is clean. And we are warned in Yobelim, what they call Jubilees chapter 6, I believe, that we would present unto the Most High a set-apart day on an abominable day, and offer an abominable day for a set-apart day. And it's very, very, very key that we understand this concept when we come and we deal with everything, to include His appointed times and His set-apart days. So what does it say in Wayikra, or Leviticus chapter 23, verse 3? 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is a Sabbat of rest, a set-apart gathering. You do no work. It is a Sabbat to the Most High in all your dwellings. So what's it saying to us? We focus on the word seventh day, and in our minds are trained for what has been given unto us. We start a week beginning on supposedly Sunday. Sunday. We go to Saturday. We're told that that is the seventh day, and we repeat the cycle week after week. But this is not how it works, because we see that the Most High gives us a count each year that comes, beginning at day 1, and we count consecutively all the way through, right? For each month. Each of the months were numbered. So let us look at the Sabbat lie about when does a day begin. We start in Brayshot, chapter Genesis, verses 1 to 5. And the Most High called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning one day. So again, we have to go back and we have to follow all of what the Most High has said to us, going all the way as far as we can go, looking at the proper transliteration of what it should be saying. So for the purpose of this, we're going to use what was given unto us, right? And we're going to break down what was given unto us, and in it we will see that there is, and I'll repeat this going forward, in it is the truth as well as the lie. So we're going to break this down by the tools given unto us. So let's look here at what was actually given. So we see this is what was actually, if we can go back, let's say we go back to the Pentateuch. And the original, before it was changed, Greek transliteration of the Septuagint, it would have read, "And evening and were night, the first day of the morning." So we have Wahi Ereb, and that would be 259 if we're using the concordance given unto us. And Wehi Leila would be, we have Wehi, which would be 3117 according to the concordance, and Leila 1242 according to the concordance. So both of these, all of these concordinal numbers would also apply to Ehad as we see there and the other words. Let us look at Shamut, Exodus 20 verse 8. Remember, the Sabbat day to keep it set apart. What is the ancient Arabic word for day? We will use the concordance once again. So let us establish that the truth and the lie is in there, because this is the way of the enemy, to mix truth with lie. But it says to us in the scripture, he who has wisdom and understanding will be able to see, right? And the Spirit will lead us into all truth. So again, we're going to use the concordance. We're going to establish the truth and that the lie is there as well. I want to say, family, that we need to empty our heads and we need to relearn. Concordance, H3117. The meaning of day is yom, from an unused root meaning to be hot. So the root word of the day means to be hot. A day as the warm hours, whether literally from sunrise to sunset or from sunset to the next. So we see here, what is the lie? The lie is from one sunset to the next. So clearly from one sunset to the next could not possibly be a day, right? We see the meaning here literally from sunrise to sunset. Reshat, Genesis chapter 19 verse 34. And it came to pass on the next day that the firstborn said to the younger, "See, I lay with my father last night. Let us make him drink wine tonight as well. And you go in and lie with him, so that we may keep the seed of our father." So for those of us that know the story, this is when Lot came out, and he's now in the cave with his daughters, and they're of the mind that everything has been destroyed, so they seek to do what they seek to do to preserve the seed of their father, right? And we see what they say. One said, "I lay with my father last night." Okay? Numbers 11:32. And the people were up all that day and all that night and all the next day and gathered the quail. So once again, we know they were yearning for meat, and the Most High said, "Okay, I'm going to indulge them." And the quails were sent, and we know what happens there, right? So they were up all that day and all that night. Why is the Most High making a distinction there between day and night? Again, Exodus chapter 16 verse 2. And he said to them, "This is what the Most High has said. Tomorrow is a rest, a Sabbat, set apart to the Most High. That which you bake, bake; that which you cook, cook. And lay up for yourselves all that is left over to keep until the morning." So we see here that the morning is different from the night. Let's keep going. Verse 24. And they laid it up until morning, as Masha commanded, and it did not stink, and no worm was in it. So they were laying it up until when? The morning. For what reason? For the Sabbat, right? Verse 25. And Masha said, "Eat it today, for today is a Sabbat to the Most High. Today you do not find it in the field." So he's telling them, the previous day you would have collected it in the field for the Sabbat, which is today. Today is a Sabbat, you will not find it in the field. Let's look at Zephaniah 3:3. Her rulers in her midst are roaring lions. Her judges are evening wolves. They shall leave no bones until the morning. Until when? Until the morning. They will leave no bones until the morning. The morning is different than the night. 1 Shamuel. And Shaul sent messengers to Ahuz's house to watch him and to put him to death in the morning. And Michal, Daud's wife, informed him, saying, if you do not save your life tonight, tomorrow you are put to death. So she did not say, if you do not save your life today, right, you will be put to death tomorrow. We know that on the morrow or tomorrow means the next day. Wayikra, Leviticus 23, verses 27 to 32. I don't know where anyone get this thing from, that the night begins at and conclude that the day begins at night. Right? Yeshayahu 28, 9 to 10. Whom would he teach knowledge, and whom would he make to understand the message? Those weaned from milk, those taken from the breast. For it is command upon command, command upon command, line upon line, a little here, a little there. Right? We have to lay this out, and we have to let the scripture speak for itself, that it connects and proves itself. That Yah is very clear that there is balance. He set things up with balance. Just weights and just balance. This is how it works. Let's look at Matthew chapter 28, verse 1. Now after the Sabbat, towards the dawn of the first day of the week, Miriam Magdala and the other Miriam went to see the tomb. So they use this verse here to confuse and to tell you, because it says toward the dawn of the first day of the week. But this is going to come out clearer to us in the next scripture, because we have a different account which makes it very clear, which was not placed in this account but in Matthew chapter 28 verse 1. Right? So we're going to take a look at the next scripture, which is going to make it very clear to us, so we're able to have understanding and be able to see what exactly was happening. Marcus 16, 1 to 2. And when the Sabbat was past, Miriam from Magdala and Miriam the mother of Jacobi and Shaloma bought spices to go and anoint him. And very early on the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, they went to the tomb. So the Sabbat ended, right? Now, clearly, they would have gone after the Sabbat have ended, and they would have bought the spices that they needed to go very early, just based on what they're saying here, on the first day of the week. Right? We're just keeping it on face value. On the first day of the week, when the sun had risen, they went to the tomb. Right? So we see the Sabbat had ended, sunrise to sunset. And then at that point, people would have, whether they opened up their shops or wherever they went to someone to individually buy the spices, they would have been able to go and to do what they had to do to be able to go the next morning. Right? So we're going to, let's keep it going. So we're going to look at the next scripture and see what the Most High has to say unto us. Remember, unlearn to relearn. Genesis 1, verse 14. And Elohim said, that lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night. Notice, it does not say nights and darkness, but lights were given to divide the day from the night. The day is governed by the direct rays of the sun, occupying time from sunrise to sunset. So the question, if a day begins at sunset, when it becomes dark, then when does a night begin? Okay, so let's move on to the next scripture, Judges 16:2. And Azathites saying, Shimshon has come here. So they went around and lay in wait for him all night at the gate of the city, and kept silent all night, saying, in the morning, when it is daylight, then we shall kill him. Let's look at this carefully again. they went around to lay in wait for him all night. Tehillim 104:20. You put darkness, and it is night, and all the beasts of the forest creep. You put darkness, and it is night. We once again see here, and we can do this all day, no pun intended, that darkness is different from night. That day, rather, is different from night. Genesis 8:22. As long as the earth remains seedtime and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. So we see here, for lack of a better term, the Most High is laying out these different times, seasons: cold, heat, summer, winter, day, and night. Why didn't he just say night or just day? No, he cannot. There has to be balance. So what is the conclusion of the matter? That the Most High be true, and every man a liar. Everything is set in perfect harmony. If you're keeping the Sabbat beginning at night in ignorance, correct it. If you know you're in error and do not change and teach others the lie, then you are in sin, because we cannot add to or take away from the word. This is just a very quick breakdown. I'm going to do a more lengthy one in the near future. But we need to be careful, family, how we do things and what we represent for the Most High. And I know for some of us, hey, maybe it's a thing of pride. This is what we believe. This is what we may have taught our families. But remember the brother that became king. And he said it was upright. He did all things upright before the Most High. But then the priest went and found the book of the law that was hidden away, and they brought it to him. And he was surprised, because he said he broke out in tears because he'd not yet read and not seen it. And when he read it before the people, it was accepted. And it tells you that there was no feast that was kept in the land, in Jerusalem or Jerusalem, as it was that was kept with him. So let's do what is right before the Most High, and keep it real. One love, and Salema.